हरे कृष्णा। मैं नवनीत व्यासा एस्ट्रो चैनल में आप लोगों का फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। आज मेरे साथ मेरी आरवीए टीम है और आज हम राहु को लेकर बहुत बड़ा मंथन करने वाले हैं। मेरे साथ हैं योगी जी, सिद्धार्थ जी, पूजा जी, नंदिता जी एंड मयूर जी। मेरे रुद्रा वैदिक एकेडमी के धनुंधर है और आज अपनी अपनी जबरदस्त रिसर्च राहु के ऊपर लेकर आए हैं। देखिए आज का जो पूरा वीडियो का फ्लो रहेगा, I'll take for first 15-25 or 15-20 minutes of yours explaining about very small observations on what is राहु। राहु सभी घरों में, सभी भावों में कैसा रिजल्ट देते हैं और थोड़ी सी बात करेंगे राहु महादशा और ब्लैक मैजिक के ऊपर। ये जो तंत्र यंत्र विद्या राहु के साथ जुड़ी हुई है इसके बारे में चर्चा करेंगे। और आई एम श्योर नंदिता जी, योगी जी, सिद्धार्थ जी, मयूर, पूजा जी, इन सब ने बहुत छोटा छोटा पार्ट अपना एक रिसर्च किया है, डीपली रिसर्च किया है और ये लोग उसके साथ शेयर करेंगे। सो लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, मेरी वही आदत है कि मैं हमेशा हर चीज को अपने फेवरेट व्हाइट बोर्ड पे समझाने की कोशिश करता हूं एंड आई डू दैट नाउ। I'll share the whiteboard and I'll come up with my explanation on Rahu and Ketu. When I say Rahu, I read many books and I attended so many lectures of my teachers and gurus and mentors, and everyone was saying, you are born because of a desire. Okay, if you have no desire, you will never take birth. You will not reincarnate, right? And in a very layman term, ये कहा जाता है कि राहु जो है आपकी डिजायर्स हैं जो आप फुलफिल करना चाहते हैं, और केतु वो चीज है जो आप ऑलरेडी फुलफिल कर चुके हैं। ओके, ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग, this made a little bit of sense to me. Not complete sense. I think I would say only 10%. 90% was something else, which I realized with the journey of 12 years of not only reading and listening to my gurus, but understanding various charts. That's the practical experience जो मैं आज आप लोगों को यहाँ पर दूंगा। देखिए, मैंने राहु को 3 स्टेप्स में कैलकुलेट किया है। हो क्या रहा है कलयुग के अंदर, हो क्या रहा है आज के ज्योतिष के अंदर? प्रॉब्लम ये है, आपने ये पढ़ा कि राहु डिजायर है और अनफुलफिल्ड आपकी जो डिजायर्स हैं वो राहु है, और जहां राहु बैठता है उस चीज के साथ ऑब्सेशन जुड़ जाता है बहुत सारा। When I saw my kundli, when I saw the kundli of a lot of people, in fact your kundlis as well, मुझे ये रियलाइज हुआ कि राहु डिजायर तो है, बट राहु ऑब्सेशन नहीं है। Now this is very very strange. Rahu is not obsession. Then what is Rahu? देखिए, हम इस पूरे ब्रह्मांड को 3 चीजों में बांटते हैं। स्वर्गलोक, हमारा धरती, भूलोक और पाताल। 3 लोकों में हमने इस चीज को बांटा है। राहु की परिभाषा इन 3 लोकों से ही आती है, उसके बारे में मैं बात करूंगा एट अ वेरी वेरी हायर लेवल, जिसको कि आप स्वर्ग का लेवल कहते हैं। वहां पर राहु इज अ डिजायर। व्हेन यू डाई, you had a soul and soul said that okay, मेरी ये कुछ डिजायर्स हैं जो अनफुलफिल्ड हैं एंड उसके कारण आपको जन्म लेना पड़ता है, राइट? बट व्हेन यू कम डाउन, on the mother earth, you got the body. Rahu, this desire converts itself into ambition. याद रखिएगा, It is not obsession, but it is ambition. And when you get over ambitious on anything, that is what Rahu is all about, right? And at the Patal level, okay, this ambition is now converted into deception. Okay, wherever there is deception or there is a technique of deceiving, it is always secretive. You cannot deceive a person without keeping a secret. You'll keep a secret, you'll hide it from someone, and then you will deceive. तब आप किसी को deceive करेंगे. अगर इस principle को, which is desire at a very higher level, at the Swarg level, at the soul level, and ambition at your materialistic level, Dharti level, Bhu level, Mars level. Desire is a Mars level. Now that Mars level is getting into ambition, and from the ambition, it is going to the deception, dhokha, secrecy, secrets. Now, if you follow this 3-step theory to understand Rahu in any house, it will be a piece of cake for you. And I'll do this today practically. कि किस प्रकार यहां पर चीजें फलित होती, right? So let me tell you how. Ladies and gentlemen, people have so much of misconceptions. Okay, so the misconception is that you can always understand Rahu without Ketu. हमेशा राहु को केतु से अलग रखा जाता है, but this is not the case. It cannot be done like that, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot be, because Rahu, lots of people say, hey, what is Rahu? Rahu is what you want in life. Okay, Ketu is what you've already achieved in your life. That's what Ketu is all about. Okay, but that's not the case. That's not the case. Jyotish एक binary language पे चलता है, right? There are energy of planets which are 0. There are energy of planets which is 1, right? So Rahu is 1 and Ketu is 0. Entire software, everything is digital. And whenever a combination is calculated, it is always calculated based on 0 and 1. If you've done digital, analysis, or if you've studied digital software, it's everything 0 or 1. Entire computer, entire technology is 0 and 1, 0 and 1. The combinations, the data packets are always, all the data packets and pockets are always 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, nothing else, right? So 1 plus 0 is again 1. 1 minus 0 is again 1. Okay, so whenever there is Rahu, the significance of Ketu is gone. Okay, and wherever there is Ketu, it's 0 plus 0 is 0. So here in this combination, Rahu is missing. Okay, when we break this taboo, it's 0 plus 0. That is the time when we achieve moksha. Okay, and I'll explain you what is 1 plus 0 and 0 plus 0 and 0 plus 1. Okay, now the first thing is to understand the position of Rahu in the first house. Okay, Rahu in the first house. To understand this, you have to understand Ketu first, not the Rahu. Because if you do not understand Ketu, you cannot understand Rahu. Because Rahu is only coming in the picture in your chart because of the Ketu. Okay, So now you'll say 1 here. I can write 1 here and I can write 0 here. Okay. So when I write 0 here, now what is 0 here? 0 is the 7th house, the marriage, the partnership. Everything is 0. And the focus is on 1, right? Number 1, which is me. Okay. Now, when 1 is here, I want to be number 1 in this world, right? So what will you do? You are actually deceiving yourself first. आप अपने आप को ही धोखा दे रहे हो ये सोचकर कि आप नंबर 1 हो सकते हैं और आप नंबर 1 बनेंगे और आप नंबर 1 हैं, आपसे बढ़िया कोई और हो ही नहीं सकता. And the entire focus is on being number 1. So that's where the problem is with this Rahu, in the first house. And you know what? The third aspect of deception is also equal to secret. Okay. So now you want to become number 1, but you will not tell this to anyone. Okay. You will pretend a very simple person. No, I am nothing God-fearing. I don't want anything in my life. I don't want to be number 1, but you want to be number 1. You understand? These are the 3 steps of Rahu. The desire from the soul, right? Now, over ambition. I can be number 1. I will be number 1. I'll always be number 1. But Ketu says, if you will be number 1, what about your life partner? What about your partnerships? What about your dharma? What about your commitment? They say, I don't bother about that. I don't care. With Ketu in the 7th house, I have seen very early marriages or very delayed marriages. Why? Because when you get married early, जब आप जल्दी शादी करते हो, तो भी आप किसी की परवाह नहीं करते. 18 साल का लड़का और 19 साल की लड़की ने शादी कर ली भाग के. क्या आपने माँ बाप की, समाज की, सोसाइटी की परवाह की? आपने अपना सोचा कि मैं इस लड़की से प्यार करता हूं, मुझे इससे शादी करनी है. Forget about my education, forget about my career, nothing. I'll just marry, right? The other case of secret is that you want to do everything about your career. You want to be number 1. You're not thinking about your marriage, the 7th house. So it is delay. So आप अपने बारे में 2 प्रकार से सोच सकते. Either you can marry early or you can marry very late, because in both the cases you are thinking about yourselves. You are not thinking about what is right. क्या सही है? Siddharth ji, you getting that? Right. So that is the most important thing. That is the most important thing. This is what Rahu does in the first house. The principle of desire and over-ambitiousness and secrecy. You're not telling. Let it be another thing here. Rahu in the 2nd house, okay, and Ketu in the 8th house. Now, can I write here something? Shall I write here 0? And shall I write here 1? Okay. What does that mean? You want a lot of money, right? You want to equitize a lot of wealth, right? You want to eat every fast food in this world, but you don't want to show this to the world. You are very secretive. You are deceptive. You have someone, Rahu, in the 2nd house, you need all the money in this world. But you say, no, jitna Bhagwan ne diya, wo acha hai. This is the 3rd principle of Rahu, the deception. मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए, जो परमात्मा ने दिया है वो बहुत अच्छा है. और अंदर से कि मेरे पास इतना पैसा आ जाए, wealth आ जाए, कैसे 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 कैसे. That's what Rahu is, right? You are deceiving your own brain for some time, speculation in front of people. But when you come back home, sit in this room, you're thinking of money, 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 money all the time. You're trying to equitize that. But this is a secret between your ambition and your soul. And that secret is Rahu in the second house. And what is eighth house? Your in-laws, not thinking of them. Your secret knowledge, you're not thinking. Life after marriage, you're not thinking of that. Nothing you're thinking of it. It's all about thinking of money, your taste. And, the most important thing is the biggest asset that they have and they think is the bank balance, because second house is your bank balance. You ask a person with the second house Rahu that we are going to take out some money from your bank balance and see that how uneasy that person would be. The same person who was talking about ki kuch nahi chahiye, kuch nahi hoga, the moment the 5,000 rupees is less with that Rahu in the second house, he's not showing it to anyone, but he's not liking it. Okay, that is where the problem of Rahu in the second house is. It's where the most problematic situation, right? Another thing, let's see how things are moving. I'll just write, when I write 1 in the third house, right? 1 in the third house and 0 in the ninth house. What should I write in the third house? I should write Rahu here and I should write Ketu here. Okay. All right. Now people say, hey, Ketu does very well in the ninth house. It is real spirituality. Right? Why it is a real spirituality? Because Ketu has got nothing to do with dharma or religion. The day you give 0 number to your dharma and religion, that is the day when you achieve, when you achieve what? You achieve spirituality. Okay, that is the day when you reach at the highest level. And when you have Rahu in the ninth house, 1 in the in the ninth house, and Ketu is in the third house, at that time, say it's Smaran Karan Sthan for Rahu, the opposite, which I'll discuss. Why? Because you are more focused towards your religion, dharma, kriya, karam, path, puja, stotram. You don't forget that, I can't live without going to a temple when you have Rahu in the ninth house, right? But only for some days, because that was a secret and that was a deception. Or you are doing it for some of your wish or hopes fulfillment of hopes, wishes and desires. But Rahu in the third house is a very restless position. This person may be very calm and composed from outside, but inside he's got restlessness. And this is with the base on ambition, because Rahu is also having a lot of ambition here. This is a placement of entrepreneurship. You see people who do a lot of startups, new startups, they will have Rahu in the third house, or they will have a frame of mind, because third house is a house of beginnings. Things begin in the third house. So now what happens? How Rahu deceive here is when you are over ambitious about your startup. That's where the problem is. And when you are over ambitious about your startup, you lose your ninth house, which is your dharma, which is discipline, which is guru, which is justice. Ninth house is of justice, dharma. And then you give 0 number to the ninth house, right? because you think that your startup is the best and you'll become number one. But if you do it without the ninth house, which is ethics and law and dharma, that is where the problem is. That is that ambition. See, the desire is a very small part. Ambition is a very big part here, right? And then the secret is another. So what happens when you have, when you want to start a startup, you keep that startup as a secret. You're not telling it to anyone. You want to sign NDAs with a lot of, software people, right? That, hey, look, this is me. I want to get it copyright. This is my copyright, okay? This is my startup, right? So what is a copyright? Copyright is a secret. It's my secret. Now it belongs to me. I want to do it, right? That's again Rahu. That's third house, right? And let's go back to Rahu in the fourth house. Now Rahu in the fourth house is 1 here and Ketu here 0 to the 10th house. Okay, so 0 to the 10th house means that you don't care about your profession. Okay, or you don't care about the people who are forcing you to do anything. So that means you become very bold about your profession. You can quit a job, you want to sit home, you don't want to go, you take an off, you take a leave for no reason. आज मेरा मन नहीं है, मैं काम पे नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं घर बैठूंगा, फैमिली के साथ बैठूंगा, गाड़ी उठाऊंगा, घूमने जाऊंगा, गेड़ी मारूंगा, कुछ खाऊंगा पीऊंगा, for no reason गाड़ी लेके निकल जाएंगे, because Rahu is in the fourth house, focuses towards the elements of the fourth house. The car, the dress, the enjoyment, all the Rahu elements of comfort. But work, I will do my 100%. I will do great. I'm very bold. I'm very, very, very strong about my profession. But I don't care about my profession. Okay, I don't care. My focus, number one, is towards my home, my fourth house, my desires. I have seen such people are obsessed with their mother. The mothers are very obsessed for them. माँ के साथ प्यार होता है, और अगर आपकी शादी किसी ऐसे लड़के से हो रही है जिसका राहु चतुर्थ भाव में है, you are going to marry a mama boy. I'm going to tell you, you're going to marry a mama boy, and he will not listen anything about her. और अगर आप उनके बारे में कुछ बोलोगे, क्योंकि वो माँ को नंबर 1 दे रहा है और बाकी सब उसके लिए 0 है, इंक्लूडिंग द 10th हाउस. हर मदर सेज कि मुझे रात को सपना खराब आया था, आज ऑफिस मत जाना, he'll immediately message the boss, I'm not well, I'm not coming. Simple. Because mother is obsession, and mother is obsessive about him both the ways, because fourth house is full of obsession about cars, about luxury, air condition, nice office, nice clothing, all the time. Fourth house, right? So this is where your 10th house becomes 0. Okay, and when it comes from the past life, it means that you have already done all the work of the 10th house. Your desire was the fourth house, but now desire is now converted into ambition. You are over ambitious. Now you want to buy a big car. You did 100% finance, but then your 10th house, you don't have that income. Yet your mother is not going to last whole of your life with you, right? But then wife will be there when you'll be in 60s and 70s. But that point of time, you realize that you never respected your wife. And that's when you realize that's the realization of Ketu. That's the realization, when you feel, oh my God. Rahu in the first house wants to be fit. वो जिमिंग करेंगे, अपनी एक्सरसाइज करेंगे, फिट रहेंगे, they'll try to be as clean as possible. Rahu fourth house, they want their home to be shining, but they'll never get it. It will always be a mess. But they always dream of a very clean home, right? So this is what Rahu is. Let's go to Rahu in the 5th house. Let me write 1 here and where should I write? Right? Where should I write 0 then? I'll write 0 in the 11th house. Okay. So now number 1 is your 5th house. 5th house is your skill and romance. Okay. So, lots and lots of skill. And when you want to learn a skill, you have to cut yourself from the Samaj and society. That's one. Rahu in the 5th house, you are not connected. You don't have a bigger circle. The 11th house. And when you are focused on your romance, ask a couple who wants to do romance or who is flirting or who wants to have romance. What is one thing they want? They want isolation. They want nobody to look at them. Give them a corner. Even in the disco club, they'll find the darkest corner and a corner where nobody's coming. Right? So where are you cut from? From the 11th house, where your Ketu is. 0. Right? More and more. Now you have this. Now you're going to have the secret relationships as well. More than 1. It is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Because now you will have secrets also for your relationships. और secret कब रखना पड़ता है? जब एक से ज्यादा रिश्ता होता है. People say, you know what, 5th house Rahu is good. It is developing your skill. It is, but then it will give you multiple relationships also. It will make you very passionate about love, romance, very secretive about love, romance, and your skill. They are working inside on their skill. That's where the problem is with this Rahu. And 11th house is the house of desire fulfillment. Actually, that is why यहाँ पर ये जो 11वां घर होता है ना, जब राहु ने जन्म लिया आपकी कुंडली में, तो उसने ढूंढा कि मेरा घर कौन सा हो सब में से, तो उसने वही घर चुना जो हाउस ऑफ डिजायर है. इसीलिए राहु एकादश भाव के क्या हैं? को रूलर हैं और उसको अपना घर समझते हैं. You understand? That is where he said, oh, okay. But then फिर उसने बोला राहु ने कि कोई एक और घर भी है, क्योंकि राहु एक घर पे तो रुकेगा नहीं.
Yes, sir.
उसको एक से ज्यादा चाहिए और उसको एक से ज्यादा सीक्रेटली चाहिए. He needs that secret going on. और वो सीक्रेट उसे कहाँ मिला? In the 6th house. Right? और वो 6th हाउस में उनको सीक्रेट कैसे मिला? फटाफट से 6th हाउस में हम यहाँ पर राहु लिखते हैं और राहु को यहाँ पे लिख देते हैं 1 नंबर बनना चाहता है, और 12th हाउस में केतु. ओके, यहाँ पर केतु 0 है. Okay, so now when Ketu is 0 in the 12th house and Rahu is hero, in the 6th house, what happens? Right? It makes you extremely passionate about your job, about your competition. I have seen great sports persons with Rahu in the 6th house because they are keeping an eye on their competition, on their enemies. Right? And Rahu wants to be, it's so over ambitious that will win. I want to win. My ambition is at the highest level, right? In the 6th house. And it is, this is energy. This is one of the best positions if you want to clear the competition and you become authoritative, right? और जब competition की तैयारी करते हैं तो कैसे करते हैं? Secretly करते हैं ना, किसी को बताते ही नहीं है. आपका फ्रेंड आपको कॉल करेगा, भाई तू कितने घंटे पढ़ रहा है? ओ यार मैं वहां गया था, मैं तो पढ़ा ही नहीं सारा दिन, ताकि आप डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो सको, ताकि you remember the engineering classes, the competition when the 2 intelligent people they are asking कि वो कितने घंटे पढ़ रहा है, वो कितने घंटे पढ़ रहा है, वो कितने बजे उठा था बता, so that I can learn that much. That is what Rahu is. We used to do that. We used to think, I was a science student and we used to ask the most intelligent person कि तू कब से पढ़ रहा है? सुबह 8 बजे बैठा था, शाम के 6 बजे तक, तू 10 घंटे पढ़ा. And he's saying, no, my relatives came, I didn't study, I was here, and now I am easy. He is not studying, so I am also not studying. So the third aspect of Rahu is deception here. You are deceiving others, That's what Rahu is doing. Rahu is having complete focus. And Rahu says, this is a very brilliant place. I would love a house in the 6th house as well. I just love it. I just love it. But you know what? What is the biggest problem of Rahu as a whole? Is Rahu doesn't let go. Rahu don't want to forgive anyone. Because जब आप ambitious होते हो ना, आप किसी को क्षमा कर ही नहीं सकते. और जब आप किसी को क्षमा नहीं कर सकते, तो कुदरत आपकी मदद नहीं करती. वो आपको औकात दिखाती है कि आपकी ambition की ये value है. This is the value of your ambition. Because you were not ambitious, you were over ambitious. You forgot your capabilities. That you have no capabilities, but you want to be an IAS officer. Because Rahu is making you think like that. IAS officer will also depend upon your Jupiter and Sun in the chart. And now in the 6th house, you end up becoming a block pradhan. आप मोहल्ले के प्रधान बन जाते हो. Because 6th house Rahu is also politics. Because now you could not become the DC, the deputy collector. Now you want to become a counselor. So how will you start when you become a counselor? आपको लगेगा पहले एक गली का प्रधान बनते हैं. Okay, one street pradhan, then one locality pradhan. Right? Wasting your time and doing everything. From one locality, you become an area. You have to kill few people, you have to torture few people, get recognition in the negative way, in the secret way, right? And then you reach on the top and it becomes a karka of politics in the 6th house. But what are you losing here? You are losing the ultimate sight of that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. For you, the meditation, that isolation, that divine is nothing. For you, losses are nothing. Losses are losses. फिर क्या हो? Because आपने हर चीज को zero कर दिया. You've done 0 in the 12th house, nothing in the 12th house. That's where the problem is. And then you give 1 here and 0 here. Imagine, right? Now you are giving every single thing and getting very ambitious about your life partner. This is the worst position. This is the worst position. See, it is not that you're taking care of your wife. No. It is not that you love your wife so much. No. It is that you're getting over ambitious about your wife. And when you get over ambitious about your life partner, how will the life partner feel? She'll be in pressure all the time. And you are telling that person that, see, look, I am nothing. Everything is for you. तू ही मेरी सब कुछ है. But अंदर से ऐसा नहीं है. उन्होंने अपने आप को zero कर लिया किसी के सामने. But look at secretly, that person is so over ambitious कि वो थोड़ा सा भी अगर कोई गलती करेगी, this person is 0. He wants to end everything. He wants to end his life. He wants to end the relationship. He wants, because he himself is considering 0, but he's having so much of ambition, so much of secret desires for the life partner. And it is a very dangerous position when you want to get married as well, because you will behave like a headless person in any sort of partnership. That's where the problem is, right? Let's go to the 8th house and the 2nd house. Now your 8th house is 1, which is Rahu here. And your 2nd house is 0, which is Ketu here. What happens if you have Rahu in the 8th house and Ketu in the 2nd house? We cannot define Rahu without Ketu. See here, everything, the entire focus is on keeping secrets. You have so much of desire for keeping secrets. And if you get into Tantra, this is a position of black magic. 8th house Rahu, 12th house Rahu, first house Rahu, and second house Rahu. And the last is the 6th house Rahu. This is where people receive lot of black magic on them, and this is where people will do lot of black magic. Okay, why? Black magic, tantra, the negative tantra, this activates through air, हवा से आता है, वाइब्रेशन से आता है, राइट, लाखों किलोमीटर दूर से आता है. और राहु क्या है? राहु is carrier of the air and it is always close to Saturn, right? शनि राहु एक साथ हो जाएं, शनि राहु और चंद्र एक साथ हो जाएं, suddenly you will realize that you are not able to forgive anyone, you are not able to let go. आपके साथ किसी ने कुछ गलत किया, वो गलत आपके ऊपर वो चीज आ गई, नाउ वो गलत चीज को you are not able to let go. I received a bad energy because Rahu don't want to let it go. So Rahu is not letting it go. So Rahu in the 8th house is secret about what has happened to that person. He's not telling and he's not letting go. Now, since you know that आपके ऊपर किसी ने black magic कर दिया है, what is your next reaction? कि मैं भी उस पे करूंगा, मैं भी उससे बदला लूंगा secretly. I know this person has done, I'll do it. But अगर यहां पर बृहस्पति मिल जाए, उसको गुरु मिल जाए, so Guru has that power to give him wisdom, because Rahu is basically a pretending intelligence. From inside, the Rahu is zero. It's a big hole. Because Rahu has the intelligence to just show off. And that intelligence is taken from Mercury, not from the Jupiter. If Rahu would have taken that intelligence from the Jupiter, that would have been a permanent intelligence. That intelligence would have not been a secretive intelligence. That intelligence would have been an intelligence where you are not deceiving others, you are actually helping others. That is why Rahu in the 8th house, 12th house, 6th house, 1st house, 2nd house are so much prone to what? Black magic. Because वो एक बार अगर टच कर गया तो वो उस ब्लैक मैजिक की एनर्जी को लीव नहीं करते हैं, उसको एम्पलीफाई करके रिफ्लेक्ट करने की कोशिश करते हैं. And they can only, get out of this situation if they have a guru, if they have a Jupiter, rather than having a Saturn, which is an old person, old lady, old energy at home, which is further sending you to more tantrics. What happens अगर बेटे के ऊपर तंत्र विद्या हो जाए तो घर का शनि सबसे पहले भागता है किसी बाबे को ढूंढने के लिए. और घर का शनि कौन है? घर का बड़ा बुजुर्ग. वो कहते हैं इसने किया, मैं अपने बच्चे को कुछ नहीं होने दूंगी, बाबा जी आप जितने पैसे ले लो मेरे ऊपर कर दो, मेरे बच्चे को ठीक कर दो. That's what Saturn is doing, right? Because Saturn is what? Saturn is source of air and Rahu is the carrier of that air. And all the black magics happen secretly. For me, a black magic with Rahu in the 8th, 12th, 2nd or 6th is a complete ignorance, because they are only looking at one aspect where they are not giving up, where they are not giving out the Rahu. Okay, so let's make 9th house as 1. Now people say, hey, Rahu 9th house is a Marana Karana Sthana of Rahu, and here you will not pray, you will not be religious, you will not be dharmic. The answer is no. You will be religious, you will be dharmic, which is actually not religion and actually not dharma. I'll repeat, you will be religious. I was talking to someone and she said, hey, look, I do my sadhana every day at a given point of time and I don't miss. I'm not late by a single minute. Is this a good idea? This is actually the most pathetic idea. You can be late for a minute, no problem. But when you do sadhana, you should be composed. You can be early 15 minutes. One fine day, it can be missed because of some reason, and you should not be depressed about it. When you miss your sadhana and you feel shattered, you are not in sadhana, you are in addiction. Okay, sadhana is not this. Sadhana is every single minute of your breath. That is sadhana. And do you count your breaths every day? No. You don't. You don't. And when you start counting your breaths, and if you're taking one breath less in the next day, you are in tension, you are in stress. That's what Rahu is in the 9th house. Oh, I do sadhana, I go to temple, I don't do this. I'm very practically, religious from inside because you want to attain so many things, because you want to achieve so many things in life. That's the problem with Rahu in the 9th house. ये साधना होते हुए भी साधना नहीं है. It looks, but it is not. And you lose the 3rd house. What is the 3rd house? 3rd house is house of prakram, your communication. You lose it. 9th house is your brother-in-law, sister-in-law. That's where the problem is. And you will look as if you're caring about your in-laws and brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws, but you will be ignoring your own siblings if you have this position. They'll be suffering because of Ketu in the 3rd house, because 3rd house, everything you've given 0. You will not do startups, but you want to work on the startups of others. That's what Rahu in the 9th house will do. Depend upon the nakshatra, depend upon the sign, and depend upon the drishtis of many things. That will add on to so many things in this. Let's go to 1 in the 10th house and 0 in the 4th house. I have seen workaholics here. I have seen people who could do anything to take their career to the next level in a very, very secretive way. And they are over ambitious about their profession. I can do this. I want to do this. We ask this person, he wants to be a pilot, who is a doctor, right? And who is a fashion designer, and who is a singer as well. Okay, so Rahu in the 10th house. So much of over ambition is there, right? They would do anything, and trust me, today I did a consultation, right? And this guy was a doctor, right? And he was a radiologist, and he said he's not taken a single leave in 10 years. I said, why? What is wrong? He said that he can do anything because he's adding on machines and he's got a lot of debts on him, right? He don't want to miss a single day because he will not be able to repay it. And he's doing anything for his profession and his family, his wife, his home. Everything is a big, big 0 for him. That is why I find such people who are settled in the foreign lands. Because they have nothing to do with their Matra Bhumi. They've got nothing to do with mother or motherland. Yes, they respect their mothers, but their ultimate goal is their profession. They are psychic about their profession. Let's write 1 here and 0 here. So Rahu is now in the 11th house and Ketu is in the 5th house. Your Facebook, Instagram, money, cash, Everything, your hopes, wishes, desires is your primary thing. This is what you want in your life. Forget about the fifth house. Romance, you know, it's only one night, nothing about developing their skill. It's all about communicating, impressing, and it's about making social networking, right? The more and more social networking you have, they're obsessed about the social networking. They'll go crazy about their parties, their groups, they're moving out. Everything is crazy. So that is where you give zero to the fifth house of mantra. You give zero to your children. At times you're so busy that you're not able to care about your children. That's where the problem is. It's not that you don't want to do anything for the children. You don't have time for the children. You want that easy money because you want to show the prakram in stock exchange. You don't want to be, dealing with cryptos and stocks, easy. You don't want to show that to everyone. Secretly, you are deceiving yourself, when you are in the stocks. That it can be a loss, it can be a profit. So that this deception part is running, this circle of desire, ambition, and deception is always on with the Rahu. And you go Rahu in the 12th house. With Rahu, I'll write 1 here and 0 in the 6th house. Now, what is happening here is you are on a different plane. Okay, you are on a different plane and you're not bothering about your daily routine, your health, nothing. This is when you are in some insomnia kind of a thing. You're like always very ambitious about your hidden talents, about your sexual activity, but you are zero in the sexual activity because this is practical, this is non-practical here. It's about, looking at beyond the world. You're always looking beyond, whatever is achievable, this person will look beyond that. Uski upar kya hoga? Uski upar kya hoga? Kya karunga? And here people lose health, because they are not exercising. Rahu in the 6th house will make you exercise. Rahu in the 12th house will give you zero routine for exercise, no exercise. And then where the type 2 diabetes, the hormonal problems, PCOS, PCOD with Ketu in the 6th house comes up. You see them because they are not caring about your daily routine, their workouts. They're all giving emphasis on spending and losing and looking beyond the normal horizon. They're just saying something more. Uske upar kya hoga? Uske baad kya hoga? Uske upar thappad hoga uske baad. Kuch nahi hoga uske baad. That's what the God says. So that is my explanation, ladies and gentlemen, on what I think about my experience on Rahu and Ketu, looking at several charts. So I really thank you for listening to me very, very patiently, right? And I'll invite Nandita ji, to give her research and her explanation, her work on Rahu. I think, I'm sure, the way you are researching, the way you're working, right? I am so eager to listen to you. It's all your, Nandita ji.
Thank you, Guruji. So that was amazing, what you showed us through the houses, because it's a very practical way of looking when somebody comes and is curious, right? It allows us to really identify on a day-to-day what the challenges are or what the person might be facing. And that's great. And that's how I started to look at my own chart, just curiously, like why am I having the challenges? But I soon realized that Rahu Ketu axis is so important from a very soul evolution perspective, right? Because going back to how and what our texts have shown us, and going back to our karma theory, right? We're taking rebirth again and again. And the reason, one of the main things that we're taking rebirths about is because we need to learn the lessons. We need to experience all the desires that life has to offer. right? And that's Ketu's job, to allow us to experience all our desires. In
Right.
if you look at our kundali, every chart represents different karkas, and we need to, in multiple lifespans that we will come down to earth to have, we need to experience all the different karkas. It's almost like a cycle that we need to go through, and
Right.
each life focuses on one of those houses, and Rahu allows us to do that, um, only to find out at the end that it is not truly what we wanted. There's more
Right.
to that, right? So I look at Rahu Ketu axis as figuring out, how can we get closer to moksha? How can we get closer to liberation, right?
Right.
Even though
Right.
Ketu is so silent in our kundali and we don't focus on it, it does show us what we've already mastered. And that's why we don't care about it, right? And this life is where Rahu is going to take us on a journey where we need to be very discerning about what level of ambition we put towards that particular desire, right? And that is the challenge of life, the journey, where we need to really, really understand, how ambitious will you get? There's such a fine line between ambition and obsession. And
Right.
and our mind and our karma, and based on where the other planets are placed in our kundalis, is really going to give us the strength, the discernment that we need, our allow us to intelligently sort of go through our life's journey, making good choices, because Rahu can be very secretive and deceptive. And the deception, sometimes we're not deceiving other people, but we're deceiving our own self. people
Right.
go through people go through their entire life just in that false imagination that Rahu is creating, depending on which
Right.
house it's sitting, right? Wherever it's
Right.
sitting.
Right.
So my research, or when I look at a chart, the first thing I look at is, what is their purpose for this life? Where is
Yeah.
Rahu sitting, and where is Ketu sitting? What
Yeah.
will this individual be challenged with
Yeah.
in this life? What will they have to experience, learn through, and realize, and have that transformation? And transformation
Wow.
doesn't have to be huge, life changing, but it's the realization. The lessons are sometimes not so devastating. They're just lessons that we need to learn to evolve, to say, okay, I fulfilled
Yeah.
my desires.
Yeah.
The lessons will be as hard as you make them. The
Correct.
discerning factor in your life will gauge how many mistakes will you make again and again
Yeah.
to really realize.
You know what?
So
Yeah, Nancy, I would like to add here one thing which is very, very important because, you know, taking your point ahead, which is a very, I think it's a exuberant point here that you've said, is जब मेरे पास कोई आता है ना और वो कहता है कि गुरुजी मेरा सब कुछ खत्म हो गया, I've lost everything, my Rahu Dasha was so bad कि उसने मेरा सब कुछ खत्म कर दिया, you know, that is the time I feel very happy for that person. And it's not
yes,
it's not sarcastic because I know that now the zeroness has started and this is where this person will grow.
yes, and that Ketu literally waits our entire life for us to realize. And Ketu is ready to give us the harsh reality, take away
Absolutely.
everything that we have attained, for us to finally wake up and see that all of the things that the Rahu has allowed us to attain or experience at the end of the day is zero.
Perfect. That's
You know,
so good. Yeah.
so I know a lot of people come and are curious, and people who are probably watching this video have already asked this question one way or the other. What does this all mean? I'm hoping that's the question, and not because my Rahu Dasha is coming, will I make more money? I mean, those are all very mundane questions and very practical questions, and that's really the first question people ask, and they get drawn to Jyotish or go to an astrologer. But Jyotish is going to show us our light, our path, right? So I hope people approach this as not to fix symptoms in their life, but to go to the root cause of their issues and really align their soul with what the blueprint or kundli is trying to show us, that what they need to focus on,
Right,
which
right.
particular part of life, because the lessons, if you swim against the tide, will be tough. And
Correct.
life, the journey will be just as more difficult. And it doesn't have to be. If you swim against the river, it's going to be a hard swim, you
Absolutely.
know? So the sooner somebody understands the placement of Rahu and Ketu in their chart and understand what their focus should be in life, the lessons that they need to learn, and how quickly they're going to discern through that process, will just make the journey more enjoyable. You know,
Absolutely. See, yeah, that's where, see, I'll give it, just adding to your point, I got my Rahu in the fourth house. Okay. And I'm very, very ambitious about my mother. Right.
yes,
And my marriage went well only because I realized it. Because if I give a mama boy to my wife, right, my my marriage is going to be over.
yes, yes, yes. And Rahu should not be looked at as a bad thing or a good thing. Rahu is trying to point out your weaknesses. And
Yeah.
the sooner you accept your weaknesses and sooner you say to yourself that the next time I'm, chasing after something, and be aware of the fact that, I need to watch myself, that this is the one place where I can lose myself. It's like an auto correction, right? So that journey before you make huge mistakes and find yourself, because Ketu is ready to teach you the lesson, a hard way or
Right.
an easy way. So if I think people should really get familiar with what it is that Rahu at the end of the day is trying to teach you, so that way the journey to Ketu is not so difficult. And I
That
think
is
that,
correct. And Ketu can break rules to teach you that. That's where, because he's
yes,
an Asura. So he'll break the
yes,
rules. Wow.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I
Yes.
love looking at a chart this way and sharing that with people, because I think that it connects the dots at a very high level. And, there's always
Great.
remedies. There's
Yeah.
always so many mundane things that people come for. And it's great. We have things that they can do, but it doesn't solve the bigger problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
But
know,
great.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I think it ties in so much. And I think that Yogiji has some interesting things to say about this as well. So
Absolutely. Yogi is my main man. And, so Yogi ji, आप क्या बताएंगे आज? Thank you, Nandita.
you're welcome.
Uh, हरे कृष्णा सर.
Hare Krishna ji.
आई थिंक आपने जो सेशन दिया आज बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग था. आपने बहुत सारे डाउट्स क्लियर कर दिए सबके.
जी.
एंड नंदिता जी हैज लाइक covered it beautifully, like she
Yeah.
explained it, how the karmically these planets are indicating. So I'm
Mm.
just going to just go through like few aspects which I have read, and which I have like
Yeah.
connected the dots through my analytical and analysis
Yeah.
on these
Yeah.
two planets. Is basically Rahu and Ketu. As we go to the mythology of this story,
Yeah.
they are like, he was like a demon. He was like Swarbhanu. तो ये जो स्वरभानु राक्षस था, इसका जब सागर मंथन का एपिसोड जब हमने पढ़ा है, तब विष्णु जी ने इसका मस्तक काटा.
जी.
और वो क्यों हुआ? Only on the indications of sun and the moon, which are like
Yeah.
eyes of Vishnu ji, the
Correct.
right and the left eyes. So they
Yeah.
indicated that this person is not a devata, he's an asura, and he's come into
Yeah.
the lane of devatas, and he's ready to take the nectar.
Yeah.
And Vishnu ji, instantly when he was like notified, he instantly cut his head.
Yeah.
But before he could cut his head, he was already fed few drops.
Correct.
So Rahu became, he became immortal.
Yeah.
And few drops also went towards Ketu. So
Yeah.
the head
Ketu became
and the
also.
torso. Yeah, so head and the torso, they became, immortal. But because Vishnu ji separated them out, they were not like one body. So
Yeah.
the Asura, he lost his whole, you can say
Identity. Yeah.
power. Yeah,
Yeah.
identity. So head is separate, torso is separate. So he's not combined being, because if that would have happened, he would have caused havoc in the whole Bhumandala.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Vedic cosmology also, it says that whenever these eclipses occur,
They're very close
it's
to the
the
earth.
Rahu and
Yeah.
Ketu that cause the eclipse for sun and the moon. And why
Yeah.
sun and the moon? Because these are the two indicators which, reflected towards Vishnu, and they pointed out like,
Yeah.
okay, it's because of them Swarbhanu lost his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the main reason if we go towards the mythology. But
Yeah.
there's a very crucial point where we miss out, is that why won't Vishnu ji not know beforehand that this is Swarbhanu and he's in the lane and he's ready to
Yeah.
drink nectar? I mean, Vishnu ji is all pervading, he knows everything. It couldn't have happened without his notice
It
that
was a
this person
Leela.
is sick. It
He
was a
knew
Leela.
it. Yeah.
So, and this Leela actually, it's defined just for the whole loka of Mrityulok,
Correct.
the Bhumandala.
Yeah.
As explained by Nandita ji, that Rahu and Ketu are controlling our birth, rebirth in on the planet. It's that this is the main reason why this Leela was done, because Rahu and Ketu, even though they are separated out, they are the causes of our birth and rebirth. And Mrityu Lok is designed in that way. The whole
Mm.
scenario of death, decay that is existing on Bhumandala, where everything rises up and then falls, rises up and then falls again.
Yeah.
So the whole evolution of human being is mainly on, like, you will keep on taking life after life until unless you give off your desires, until
Yeah.
unless you overpower yourself and exit out of this matrix. This matrix is
Mm.
like guarded by Rahu and Ketu.
Right.
So unless you exit it out, you're going to stay here. And that's the reason why people take a lot of births and rebirths. Coming up to the next point is, how do we come out of this matrix?
Yeah.
So there's a secret behind this, and this is like the basis of all the spiritual teachings, all the Puranic teachings, all the teachings of, like, say Indian civilization. You can sum it up as such, is how we can get out of the matrix, how we can get moksha and go to Golok and reside with Krishna. The main
Yeah.
theory is, when you give away all your desires and passions, when you have only one thing, surrender to God and give away all your desires. So how will that work?
That's actually
it
very difficult, right?
it's very difficult, and it is very difficult for a common person to achieve.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why birth after birth, our spiritual evolution happens, but it is very slow. It's only like
Correct.
when we get some high very highly evolutionized guru or a being, or even when God comes to the Mrityu Lok to raise or protect the dharma, only then spiritual beings get that up. So
Yeah.
other than that, there is like one thing which is called as the Kundalini,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
is the process which is being, like, explained in all the scriptures. So Ketu, which is our Mula, it is at the Mula Dhara, and Rahu, which signifies the head. So we know the Ketu is in the torso and Rahu is in the head. So our main process is to uplift that Kundalini Shakti, which is existing in our Mooladhara, and raise it to the Sahasrara. So that is the basis. Once you reach there, because the true vision, because our whole vision, our whole knowledge on Mrityulok is full of illusion. We don't know the real truth. Even you can say, for this instance, is that we our senses are so weak, we can only see 7 colors of the spectrum. That's it.
Correct. We don't see more, but they're more. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many beings who are hidden from our eyes. There are so many
Yeah.
beings which are present on the Bhumandala, which we
Yeah.
cannot see or experience. Only when you evolve your Kundalini Shakti, that your Sahasrar opens up, your Agya Chakra opens up, then you see the true nature of this whole Brahmand. Then you see what actually we are. We are light beings. We are here to come out of this matrix and unite with God. So there's like a lot of explanation for this whole theory.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because you
And
know what, I would like to add here is all the five chakras. Yeah, we have a Sasna here and we have Anjana here. Or all the other five chakras from Mooladharas to solar plexus to all, they're all the Panch Bhutas. They are in the body, but these two are not. Right. But out of this, the Sahasra chakra is actually the exact Satoguna, and the second chakra, which is the third eye chakra, is a Rajas. Is a Rajas. And the remaining five chakras are Tamas. Right? Why remaining five chakras are Tamas? Because the Mooladhara is actually starting from Rahu, what he's saying. Right. But on the same time, I must tell you one thing, that the most prominent energy around the Mooladhara is also Mercury. So I'm going to tell you a small secret. Rahu is a very deceptive planet. Rahu shows that the guru of Rahu is Venus, the Shukracharya. Okay. Now listen to me very carefully. Okay. He says everyone, Guruji, Shukracharya, right? But actually, Rahu considered his guru to be Mercury. Got my point? That is when the intelligence comes, but then that intelligence, the source of that intelligence is deceptiveness.
and yeah, and that's true also, because Rahu is like serpentine in nature, and the Mercury aspects, if you see all the asterisms also are like the serpentine in nature, and there's a connection, and that's the reason why I believe that Vishnu ji did with some intention bring in this existence of Rahu and Ketu for evolution of human beings. And
Yes.
also like I want to just conclude here. So when we speak of Ketu and Rahu, so Ketu is the Ganesh aspect of where we begin things, where we say, I don't know. And only when you say and accept truly that I don't know, then you start learning something from a guru. Only when you know that, okay, I don't know, Guruji, please teach me. Only then, the knowledge flows inwards. And when you are on the path of like spiritual progress, you need that Ketu, spirit in yourself to begin with, to learn and, imbibe great thoughts and learn the, real wisdom. And progressing on that real wisdom when you get from the guru, only then you will progress up correctly and reach the stage which is the stage of the head or making decisions, is Rahu. You will
Right.
make correct decisions and differentiations only when your knowledge is pure.
That is
When
come
you have
from
a,
Brahaspati.
yeah, and when you have like a great guru who is giving you right wisdom, when you go to the battlefield of mind, you can only control the mind and win over the mind when you have the true knowledge. And that's the reason why we say Rahu, like the Kundalini Shakti is denoted by Durga, which is like the main Kundalini Shakti, which is out of our control, which can only be, invoked through the Guru and his
Correct.
teachings. Once we,
Yogi, I'll stop you here because I want to add something. When you say Ma
yeah,
Durga, I had this instance, since we do a lot of research on Vastu as well. There was this guy who said that, Guruji, when I bought this house, right, from the day one I bought this house, everything has gone upside down. And this is a southwest facing home. Okay. And it's a southwest facing home that has energy of Rahu. And the first thing that has happened is my child, my elder son, is abusing me. He's such a nice guy, intelligent, and he's just gone haywire. Everything, I got my, leg fractured. My wife is arguing every day. My mother, my sister, they are not respecting me. What is going on? Right? I just give him one remedy. I gave him a mantra of Ma Durga, and I asked him to do it for only 90 days. Only 90 days. And everything, trust me, everything was back to normal. And that's where, see, ladies and gentlemen, every single person who's just watching this video, and you've got Rahu trouble, you've got trouble because of your over ambitiousness, because of your deception or deception of others, because deception attracts. The only thing that can save you is Ma Durga. Ma Durga.
Yes, exactly. I'm just going to conclude here. So as I was talking, like we have to like worship Durga ji.
Yeah.
If you have to like control the malefic effects of Rahu, and as you explained earlier, sir, the three aspects of Rahu, wherein like it's showing like all the three forms of Sat, Raj, Tama.
Yeah.
So when it goes to Rahu, Durga ji also like three forms of Kali, Lakshmi, and Saraswati.
Saraswati. Yeah.
So there, higher forms is like once you reach to the Sahasrar, it's the Hamsa. When you call, when we refer to all these saints, Saraswati is seated on a swan, which is like Hansa. And who becomes Paramhans? When who has victory over the Kundalini. He has reached top because he has the true knowledge. So it's the ultimate goal is like from this Devya point of view of Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, and then Saraswati, and become a Paramhans, and only then you will be able to liberate. So this is where I wanted to conclude. So yeah, that's
Thank you so much. This was such a great research, and today I feel so proud of each one of you. When Nandita ji is speaking, I remember from the day one, holding your hands and telling you what is a Rashi and what is Surya, and now you people are doing a great job. And it's not that I am happy, but I am really proud of myself today just because of you people. Right now we've got Pooja ji, and she
Actually,
is
Guruji, I wanted to just it reminded me of when you first what Yogi ji just said about how we need to raise the Kundalini, and why did Vishnu ji set it up where he must have known that this was going to happen, that the Amrita was going to be taken. So it reminded me when you taught us karma theory, and you said, well, not everybody can be in the Swarg Loka, and they had to come up with a plan that you had to earn your right to be there. Right. So if every single human was part of the Devaloka, then there's the point?
Chaos there.
It's chaos, right? And so for us, and even in our last class, when we talked about one of the nakshatras, when we were talking about Uttarashada and Purvashada, and we talked about the moon and the mind, right? Vishnuji has given us the maximum physical evolution. This body is capable of so much. Vishnuji is also testing us in everything. He's given us a mind, a consciousness, and ability to learn and to push and to ask the questions. That is the main difference between humans and animals. Right? Because we can make decisions, but the challenge, again, going back to it, control your mind. Make the discerning choices. Then you can control the unsatiable appetite of Rahu and find moksha. The moment somebody understands that, the path becomes very clear and easy. But that is the understanding you need. And that is what Vishnuji has set up for every single human being, for us to understand that, to find liberation. And I thought that everything just came together, what Yogi said, what we learned in the class, and in our last nakshatra class. So I wanted to kind of just point that out, like, wow.
Thank you. Well done. So Pooja ji is one, energy of Rudra Vedic Academy, that she will show every single thing practically. And I'm sure, this shimmering dress that you have represents Rahu. All yours, Pooja ji. In fact, Dr. Pooja.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Today I am representing Rahu. And my Guruji, Yogiji, and Mayurji, they are representing Ketu.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll start my journey from last year, July 2020.
Okay.
Last year, July 2020, my Rahu Mahadasha began.
Wow.
And my Guruji is in Venus Mahadasha.
Yeah.
And yes, I was able to relate it. And I met my Guruji after 3 months of my Rahu Mahadasha. What a miracle of Rahu, you know.
Wow.
I don't know why people are bothered. Rahu ye kar dega, ye kar dega. Rahu mere liye कलयुग का राजा है सच्ची में. Because राहु ने मुझे मेरा गुरुजी दिया first thing.
जी.
के बाद मुझे occult sciences दिया.
जी.
राहु ने मेरे अंदर obsession डाला, desire डाला, ambition डाला, but for occult sciences. In initial 6 months of my Rahu Mahadasha.
What house your Rahu is? 4th house?
Yes, sir. Rahu is in 4th house. And Swati Nakshatra.
See, again the Rahu. See, what happens is you've lost your 10th house. You became fearless about your 10th house because you 0 there and 1 in the 4th house. You started listening to your heart.
Exactly.
Wow.
I have become Krishna conscious, sir, after meeting you.
Wow.
Okay, and Rahu has given me technology because you will not believe I was 0. आज भी अगर RVA में कुछ होता है तो I bang on Siddharth ji, please do for me. I'm still poor. But Rahu has taught me technology because 2020 के बाद जब लॉकडाउन हुआ था तो मैं सब कुछ ऑनलाइन कर रही हूँ. I'm running my classes online. I'm learning online. I'm giving consultation online.
Wow.
सब technology सिखाया मुझे राहु ने. Second thing, which was positive for me, I'll say.
Yeah.
Third thing is कि राहु out of box thinking करता है.
Correct.
Gives you out of box thinking. आपने मेरे साथ कितने सारे वीडियो किए हैं. I have become very creative. राहु महादशा की वजह से मैंने मंडाला आर्ट वर्क सीखा.
You told me
मैं बहुत ज्यादा क्रिएटिव हो गई हूँ. And I am planning to learn few foreign languages.
Wow.
But my Guruji has suggested me to learn Punjabi first. So I'll start with Punjabi from tomorrow.
Wow.
So Rahu is exotic. And it gives, illusion for all exotic things. Rahu is epitome of all desires and obsessions.
Wow.
Rahu abhi technology hai, super intelligent hai. Rahu is deceptive. Rahu is out of box thinking. Rahu is desire. Everything is Rahu, but it is positive for me. Now I'll talk about 5th house. So first of all, let us understand what is 5th house. 5th house is the house of creativity. Aap zyada creative ho. House of children, because when you are delivering children, that is also an act of creativity only. 5th house is house of love, affairs, romance, your ancient Vedic scriptures learning. जो मैंने भी राहु महादशा में शुरू की है सबके साथ.
Right.
So that has given me a learning also.
But while learning, I think you would have gotten disconnect from the 11th house, which is your social circle and network. You would have, I'm sure, because if you give time here, you're going to lose everything there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Rahu basically it enhances wherever it is Rahu with whatever planet it is, it will magnify its effect.
Right.
It will enhance, it will be as a catalyst working for Rahu in 5th house gives you children. So it enhances the children. If you have 2, you will demand 3, then more. We can take an example of Angelina Jolie. She has 3 biological kids and 3 are adopted. So Rahu, when comes in contact with Saturn, or Rahu when binds with Saturn, it gives you miscarriage, it gives you natural abortions. And Rahu with Shani, because if it is with Shani, it will enhance its effect. So basically you would like to adopt. Adoption ke liye jaoge aap children. You will go out of thinking, out of things like you will go for surrogacy. In vitro fertilizer, IVF technique, you'll go. Rahu, if it is malefic, it gives C-section sometimes. Cesarean section is because of Rahu only. And there are few disorders which Rahu gives. For example, one is food poisoning because Rahu is so food poisoning देगा. अभी जैसे मैंने देखा है कि हम last week ही 3-4 friends मिलके गए थे खाना खाने के. Same खाना खाया. We ate actually canned food. So 1 minute का इनका botulism हो गया. Food poisoning हो. And we all were normal. So she is also undergoing Rahu Mahadasha.
Especially, you know what, 5th house is your stomach and 6th house is your digestion, right?
Yes.
And 5th house Rahu will give you a lot of gastric problems. You know, you'll have a lot of troubles. And if it's in the 6th house, I mean, you'll eat a lot, but then you'll have problems in digesting the food. Your large intestine would be a problem.
Yes, sir. And Rahu in 6th house gives you cancer also.
It can, but I think we should not say these things, cancer, because, you know, there are several other factors for the
also.
cancers. Yeah.
Okay. And Rahu basically leads to leprosy, skin disorder, Kushta roga. And आप जैसे तंत्र की बात कर रहे थे, तो राहु की वजह से एक आयुर्वेद में बोलते हैं डिजीज पिशाच दोष.
जी.
And आपने बोला कि इट डज नॉट लेट गो नहीं होने देता है. तो अगर मैंने देखे हैं पिशाच दोष जिसमें कोई भी इट्स अ साइकोलॉजिकल डिसऑर्डर, और सच्ची में कुछ भी मैंने देखा है लोगों को सफर करते हुए कोई इलाज भी नहीं है सच.
It is not letting go, you know, जाती नहीं है चीज.
हाँ जी. एंड केतु ऑन द अदर हैंड इज डिटैचमेंट. सो अगर केतु को हम मेडिकल एस्ट्रोलॉजी से लिंक करेंगे तो केतु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एम्पुटेशन, फॉर ऑल काइंड ऑफ सर्जरीज. अब जैसे मान लो किसी को गॉल ब्लैडर स्टोन हुआ तो इट विल डिटैच आउट, इट विल एम्पुटेट out of your body. Ketu will give you detachment if you see with the astrology thing. And Rahu is that's all what I want to say about.
Fantastic. You know, the way you explain medical astrology and way you've connected the terms are, the way you've connected the dots are beautiful, right? And even if, you know, your attire is Rahu, but deep inside, I know that you're running towards Ketu and then ultimate thing. So I wish you good luck and I'm so proud of you. And now we've got Siddharthi, and I hope you're not feeling sleepy, right?
Okay. No, sir. Hare Krishna.
I know because you sleep early and it's 12:30 in the night we are recording, right?
No worries.
And so what you got for us?
Well, I would say a lot of interesting insights. So first of all, you know, as Pooja ji said, you know, my discovery or my journey of Jyotish and occult science started when I was in my Rahu Antardasha. So, you know, a similar trend that I would see for myself also. And definitely, so the main point that I want to kind of put across is that we should not fear so much about Rahu Mahadasha or Antardasha. When people say, Rahu ki dasha chal rahi hai, people get scared about it, but that's just not the case. Okay. Another certain insights that I would like to bring across is that you know, as we were discussing about the Kundalini Shakti, basically it's like awakening the sleeping serpent that is there within us, or our journey to the higher consciousness. Okay. For that matter, you know, the ultimate goal is that we all grow as humans, as souls, and we have our learning in this birth. And in that journey, we try, the intention or the goal is that we raise our vibrations. When the vibrations improves rather, you know, there are different vibrations that we have, but as we improve, we come to know ourselves about it. You know, that's the journey that we have. And essentially, what are we talking about? We are talking about energy. Okay. And this energy that I'm talking about, you know, actually, as you also rightly pointed out, like Rahu is the carrier. Okay? And a very important element that I would want to really highlight, the very channel and the medium that we are talking to each other is technology. Correct. Rahu is the representation or a karaka of technology is what we call it as. right?
Right.
And when we are talking about technology, in last 2 years time, it has touched every facades of our life. I have a cell phone, you have a cell phone, anything and everything in the new era that we are going into. The new normal is what we call it as now, post COVID, or now even the third wave is on. People are anticipating that also. But still, Rahu is something that is connecting us, each other, all of us. Okay. Again, what are we talking?
See, I'll tell you here what. See, now this is one great example. I'll show you how. We are in a meeting.
Yes.
Okay, it's called Zoom meeting, Google meeting, whatever meeting you call, virtual meeting, right? And we are discussing things, exchanging knowledge, everything. Are we practically in the meeting? Are we sitting together? We are virtually in the meeting,
Yes.
right? So this is, desire to be there. We are ambitious, but now there is a deception.
Deception, underlying.
Underline. See, you, Nandita ji is in US, Yogi ji in US, Canada, wherever you people are, Mumbai, Pune, Ludhiana. We are in a meeting. We could see each other, but this is a Rahu-based meeting. We are not together. We are thousands of kilometers away. If I press the end meeting button right now, it's over. That's the biggest example of Rahu.
Rahu, absolutely. And that's something which is so surprising, and it's so beautiful, if I have to put it this way, that we are all connected, and that's the role that Rahu has to play in our lives.
Right.
That's one thing that I would definitely wanted to kind of highlight. And second thing is, again, when we talk about fifth house, it's the house of skills also. It's the house of future children, what we call it as. And that's where, when we go ahead the curve or in our lives, technology is something that's going to drive us across, so that's something definitely I wanted to highlight.
Why, ladies and gentlemen, people who are watching this video, why Pooja ji and Siddharth ji is talking about the fifth house, because this is the first house I want my students to research on, because this house is on demand. Hamara future batao, so that's why. Or Hamara prarabdh batao, the ninth house, right? So this opportunity, I'll give it to Mayur, right? Mayur ji, आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है. क्या लेकर आए आप?
हरे कृष्णा सर.
हरे कृष्णा.
वैसे तो बहुत सारी रिसर्च है राहु पर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच. बहुत से डाउट्स क्लियर हो गए, और योगी जी ने, पूजा जी ने, नंदिता जी ने और सिद्धार्थ जी ने बहुत से, और उसमें बहुत सारी क्लियरिटी ऐड की.
जी.
जब हम राहु एक प्लैनेट के बारे में जब हम व्हेन वी से राहु, इन whole planetary combinations, in whole 9 planets, okay, only 2 planets are there who are in retrograde positions. उसमें कुछ ना कुछ तो लॉजिक होगा जी. जिसने भी एक क्रिएशन किया है, तब उसमें कुछ ना कुछ तो लॉजिक होगा. यानी कि जब भौतिक स्तर पर अगर हम बात करें, तो फिर अगर हमको मोक्ष की प्राप्ति करनी हो, जिसे जन्म और मृत्यु से हम सैल्वेशन उसको कहते हैं जी. जैसे भगवान कृष्ण ने भी कहा है, ओम इति एकाक्षर ब्रह्म व्यारण मम अनुस्वारण. ओके, ओम ही एक सर्वस्व है कि वो हम सैल्वेशन हो जाए, मुक्त हो जाए. ये पंचतत्व की जो हमारी बॉडी है, ओके, यानी कि अर्थ, एयर, वाटर, फायर और स्काई, इसमें विलीन होना है, तो फिर हमें राहु को मजबूत करना पड़ेगा. राइट. बहुत सारे लॉजिकल थिंकिंग्स मैंने ऐड किए हैं इसमें, जैसे कि राहु डायरेक्शनल स्ट्रेंथ में हो 6th हाउस में. जी. ओके, तो फिर 6th हाउस में डायरेक्शनल से ऑन अ मंडेन लेवल इट विल गिव अ गुड थिंग दैट कि रोग, शोक, कर्जा, दुर्घटना, ये सब आप करोगे कि नहीं. बट ऑन अ स्पिरिचुअल लेवल, अगर हम रामकृष्ण परमहंस की बात की जाए, संत ज्ञानेश्वर की बात की जाए, जो संत महात्मे है, जिन्होंने इस जो 84 लाख योनिस के सर्कल से जो हम मुक्त हो गए हैं, ओके, तो फिर उन्होंने क्या किया है, उन्होंने थॉट प्रोसेस, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल उन्होंने एनर्जी, माइंड, बॉडी, सोल और इमोशन को उन्होंने कैप्चर किया है. ओके, वही एक राहु की एनर्जी है. राहु आपको इल्यूजन्स देगा, रोग, ऋण, शत्रु, ये तो मंडेन लेवल पर है. But on a spiritual level, when we talk to on a spiritual level, it will give amplicity, means आपको ये सब means काम, क्रोध, मोह, लोभ, मत्सर, माया, ये जो षड रूपीज है वो हमें काबिज करने होते हैं. ह्यूमन बर्थ जो बना है वो डिफिकल्टी के लिए ही बना है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. ओके, वी आर इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ बर्थ एंड डेथ. ओके, एंड इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू बी अ सेंट. ओके, जो हम ये सब जो टॉक्स है हम कर सकते हैं, बट प्रैक्टिकली इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. ओके, तो फिर ये राहु जो है, ये आपको, ये जो हेड, ये राहु को रिप्रेजेंट करता है. ओके, इट विल कंटिन्यूअसली गिव इल्यूशंस. ये आपको आज 5 मिनट यहाँ पे एक थॉट, 10 मिनट वहां पे दूसरा थॉट, ये इट विल गिव dangerous thoughts in your mind, because
right,
the nature of the Rahu.
Right.
Your responsibility to connect with the Almighty, और Almighty से जैसे connection मिलता है तो फिर हम स्थिरता, जो शून्य जो बोलते हैं, ओके,
That's Ketu, yeah.
yes, शून्य की जो definition होती है, तब हम वो उसको हम ओवरकम करते हैं. ओके, तो फिर राहु की महादशा मैंने देखी है, बहुत सारे चार्ट्स देखी है, 18 इयर्स की महादशा है. तो फिर बहुत से इश्यूज मींस सडन, राहु के मींस एक ऐसे तत्व को रिप्रेजेंट करता है जो सडननेस देता है. ओके, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द प्लैनेटरी पोजीशन, वर्गा चार्ट्स, डिविजनल चार्ट्स, वो we have to see all the aspect. But when one of the main thing I have seen this in the dasha of Rahu, when Rahu Mahadasha is of 18 years, as soon as Rahu Mahadasha, Rahu Antardasha start, you will get a call, means 100% you will get a call to an astrologer. Okay, because sudden, it will give sudden things, sudden events hona, so it can be positive karmas or not positive, negative, it's a neutral. Okay,
so I like to add here, ladies and gentlemen, there is a concept of nakshatra called Adradi, you know, where the dasha from the Vimshotri dasha system starts from Rahu. So we make Rahu as the first dasha, okay, Adradi. Okay, now why Rahu dasha is 18 years? Because it takes 18 years for you to become an adult. After 18 years, you can vote. And there are some countries who say 21 years. You know, when you say 21 years is energy of Jupiter, 2 + 1 3, which is Jupiter. Yes. Right? So technically, you get liberated, independent, and you get several rights after you've crossed your 18 years.
Yes, sir.
You get licenses to drive your own life, right, after the age of 18. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, Rahu Dasha, at a very layman, mundane logic, is 18 years.
Yes. Yes, sir. That was the spiritual part. And coming to the technical part, okay, so means Rahu is all about internet, technology, cameras, YouTube. This all things, as Siddharth said, it is controlled by Rahu. So means I have seen a charts where Rahu is in 11th house in a sign of Taurus. Excellent. In the college days, school days, I used to play a game that is GTA Vice City.
Yeah.
That owner has the chart has Rahu in the Taurus sign. Means Rahu is all yes creativity. Okay, जो creativity देता है कि upper level की thinking करना. Okay, means उसमें सब add होते हैं जो illusions के परे जाता है, वो राहु तो बेसिकली राहु की जो महादशा है इनिशियल स्टेज में देते हैं दिक्कतें, मींस मैंने ऐसे चार्ट्स देखे हैं, बट जैसे जैसे आगे जाते हैं कि वही उनका टर्निंग पॉइंट होता है.
करेक्ट.
बहुत से मैंने चार्ट्स देखे हैं कि इनफैक्ट मैंने सर अभी सर रिसेंटली मैंने एक चार्ट देखा था, तो फिर आपने वहां मींस अभी जिक्र किया कि राहु 9th हाउस में एमकेएस पोजीशन में है. ओके, ये आपने ही बताया था कि राहु एमकेएस पोजीशन में है, बट इन द साइन ऑफ वर्गो साइन इट गिव्स एमकेएस इज कैंसर.
Yes. Okay, great. Yes. So I think that's you know, a great explanation from Mayurji here, and we can conclude this session here. I would want to say 2 lines for this session. Nothingness is everything, right? And ending is beginning. Just 2 lines. Nothingness is everything, and ending is beginning. Right? So that's what is the theme. And we are going to come up with another video of the Rahu transit in 2022 with all the signs. I'm going to come up with the same team, and we're going to come up with the horoscope 2022 based on different transits, right? And we are going to come with another video. Keep reminding us with Rahu Mahadasha and Jupiter Antra, Rahu Mahadasha and Shani Antra, Rahu Mahadasha and Buddhantra, Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu Antra. So we will have, these videos coming. Just keep an eye on us, right? And keep showering the love and affection that you do. Thank you, RVA team. Thank you, Yogi ji, Siddharth ji, Pooja ji, Nandita ji, Mayur ji. Thank you for being part of this video. And we'll come up with another video. Till then, Hare Krishna. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.